I'm Mr. Miller. I'm going to be the MC this afternoon, and I want to take a moment to thank all of our storytellers here today. Round of applause. Also, the judges, teachers, and friends, and everyone that came to help make this happen. Give yourselves a round of applause. The McDaniel Sophomore Story Slam is a live storytelling competition. Storytellers are going to have 5 minutes each to tell a true story about something that happened based on this year's theme. What's this year's theme? Treasure. You got it. Okay. Today, our storytellers have been selected based on the results of a classroom story slam in their language arts classes. The top 3 winners of the Sophomore Story Slam will join the larger student body for the all-school competition happening this Thursday, February 16th at 6 p.m. So, come to that if you're able to and interested. If you're not one of the top 3 winners, you can sign up to compete this Thursday anyways. Come to the library, snap on the flyer with the QR code and fill out the registration. The evening event has limited spots though, so do it as quickly as you can. After each story, we have judges up here that will be adding up the scores, and we're going to take a moment to let the judges do their work before calling on the next person to come up. I would like to take a quick moment to let everyone silence their phones, if you could, or other electronic devices. We don't want anything to disrupt the people when they're up here. I actually see people doing this. This is great. Silence your phones. Okay, a quick note before we begin. It is not easy to get up here in front of all of you. It takes great courage just to get up here on the stage. So, when someone is up here, bravely on the stage in front of all of you, make sure that you are giving them respectful attention. Make sure that you give them some applause as they are walking up here, and make sure you give them some applause when they're done as well. Before we get going, I want to introduce our judges. First judge, a freelance writer and a proud McDaniel parent. Everyone, a round of applause for Shannon Emerson. Our next judge, originally hailing from Puerto Rico and our current vice principal, Ms. Santiago. Our next judge, a biomedical sciences teacher who proudly loves to cook and be petty. Give it up for Miss Gill. Our next judge is one of our campus security guards, originally from Georgia and loves Edgar Allan Poe. Give it up for Mr. Evans. And our last judge is a self-described anti-racist cartoon person who can't wait to hear your stories. Give it up for Molo. All right. Without further ado, it is time to welcome our first storyteller to the stage. Now, all of our storytellers today are picked at random out of this fishbowl, so they don't even know what order they're going in. Remember, when I call the person's name, make sure to give them a warm welcome to the stage. Our first storyteller is Sam Warford.
So I think I should start this story off by saying that when I was in middle school, I joined a after-school adventuring club called Betty's 360. You might not have heard of it, but it was an adventuring club that's targeted towards girls and people who can't really participate in sports otherwise. And after school, we'd go on lots of field trips like climbing, bike riding, rock climbing, and hiking. So this was one of those days, and me and my mom had just pulled up to this river little thing here, and we were meeting with all of the other people there. It was called the Columbia Slough. You might have heard of it. But anyway, we get there, I'm thinking, it's really hot here, and I should probably mention at the time that I was wearing a hoodie and pretty much like this. I was not thinking of all the heat and sun. So anyway, we get there, and I'm pretty nervous because we were the only people there. But then as my friends arrived, oh, thank goodness, everyone was circling up, and I realized there's a sunbeam directly in my face. Yeah, nah, that's probably not ideal. Back of my mind starts to get a little bit fuzzy, which is also not ideal, which is definitely not good. As we're doing this, I forgot my water. That's probably not very. Water isn't that important, right? So I can't really remember what happens afterwards, but they were talking for so long. The people there, they were talking the history of Columbia Slough. It was like yada yada. I remember very faintly brushing my hand across my mom's shoulder because she was right next to me. I was trying to tell everyone, like, hey, something's wrong, my brain is staticky. Too late. Next thing I know, I'm face planted into the ground. No clue what happened, but I do have my friends' accounts and my own vague memories. From my friend's perspective, I chicken walked into the ground. Heat stroke, yay! When I come to, a lot of people have crowded around me. Not just the medical professionals there, but a lot of my friends have too. And I was really surprised that they've come for me. And they're like, hey, what happened? I don't know. But with their help, I came back and we managed to go kayaking all over again, but with blood dripping down my forehead. Must have been pretty terrifying for everyone else, but whenever I think back to that, and the scar on my eyebrow as well, I always remember that my friends can always be there for me, and whenever I'm in my darkest hour, they help me pick up the pieces and add a little bit of their own, and make me better and stronger when I come out of it. Thank you.
One more time for Sam, everybody! All right, we're very lucky to have Mr. Stoll doing some music and DJing. If you want to hit the music, we'll let the judges tabulate some scores. Hang out for a minute. All right, it is time for our next Story Slammer. Please welcome to the stage Sebastian Foltz!
Hello. Okay, I'm seeing how close the microphone is. Okay. When I was 8 years old, I used to watch those unboxing videos. And for those who don't know what an unboxing video is, it's basically someone orders a package and records themselves opening it. And it's the stupidest thing in the world, but I thought it was great. And there was a specific YouTuber who used to order things and would bury them in the ground and come back to them in like a year or so later and would completely forget about what they ordered. And as an 8-year-old, I was like, that's so cool. And so I did that. I'm searching around my room. It's literally house flipper in my house because I'm tearing apart my walls and my clothes and everything's a horrible, horrible mess. And nothing's working. I'm so angry. I'm having an 8-year-old tantrum. I'm so upset because nothing is perfect for me. And so I go to school and I'm like, friends, my pals, my chumps, what do I do? And they're like, write a note. And I'm like, that's disgusting. I'm not going to do that. And so I forget about it. And then Easter rolled around, and everybody's like searching for eggs and such. And my family did the classic Easter baskets for the kids, and the adults also got adult Easter baskets. And every time I would ask my mom, hey, what's in those baskets? She'd be like, adult things, sweetie. And I would never get told what were in there. And so I was like, well, I'll be 9 a year. I'm practically an adult. So I decided I was going to bury something adult-like in the ground for my future self. And so when my aunt took everyone out to search for eggs and such, I was like, I actually have to go to the bathroom, and it was heist time. And the heist time, in the mind of an practically adult 9-year-old, is hilarious, because in my mind, I'm being chased by shadow monsters, the dogs, okay? I'm literally swarming through swamps, my really itchy living room carpet, and I'm crawling past these gods of Olympus, of which are just my parents and their really weird friends. And I get to the dragon's hoard, the adult baskets, and I grab my prize, and I run away back through the horrible torments and hide it. I had no idea what I had, because I was an 8-year-old. And then later I buried it. Fast forward, I'm 13 now, and it's summer, and my grandpa owns a landscaping company, and they're doing landscaping in my backyard. And they're installing sprinklers, and for those who don't know, you have to dig a trench to install the sprinklers. And I'm upstairs, because why the hell would any teenager, preteen, whatever, be outside during summer? And so my mom comes to my stairs, and she bangs twice on my stairs and yells my full Christ-given name. And when an adult yells your full Christ-given name, you have done something war crime related. And so I'm walking down there, I panic, I'm like, I did all my chores, like, what was I supposed to do? I'm freaking out. And she leads me outside, and I'm super confused, because I'm like, was I supposed to be helping my grandpa? Like, why are you leading me outside? And she's standing there, and my grandpa's standing there, and he has the most dirtiest, ugly-looking box I've ever seen in my life. And it's got horrible spelling of my name on it. The A's look like Z's, it's so bad. And it's in bright purple crayon. And I'm like, what the hell is that? I didn't know what it was. I don't remember. And my grandpa opens it, and it's a $300 bottle of whiskey. Now, that's how I got grounded for 2 weeks. And during those 2 weeks, I kept thinking, I'm like, how the hell did I get away with stealing a $300 bottle of whiskey? I was panicked. I'm like, I must be like the best thief in the world. And truthfully, therefore, my biggest treasure in life is how somehow, as an practically adult 9-year-old, I am the best child thief in the history of child thieves.
Keep it going for Sebastian Foltz, everybody! Just a heads up, by the way, you've got 5 minutes to tell your story. If you get to 5 minutes and you're still going, Mr. Stoll is going to respectfully play a little music to kind of give you a cue to wrap the story up there. All right, our next performer, our next storyteller is Tien Bet Duan. Give it up for Tien!
So this story takes place when I was like 5 or 6, during my, I think, 1st or 2nd grade. And, you know, Portland, it was pretty depressing all the time, being a little first grader, because all I had to do was homework and play the piano all day. And so when I heard I was going to go to Vietnam and get to skip school, where all I had to do was like dumb pieces of little math homework, I was pretty excited. Now, the contrast between the two was pretty different, but the trip there was kind of awful, because I was forced into like this little seating area where it was like really crowded for some reason, and we had to take like 3 trips to 3 different places, from China to Malaysia to some other places that I can't really remember. But during those trips, I'd have to be confined to like this little seat where I was squished in by my like dad and mom, and I just really wanted to like get out and run like 3 laps everywhere and annoy everybody. Because I was a really spiteful kid when I was younger, and I think I still am, but once we arrived there, the airport was almost empty. And this didn't really make sense because there were so many people on the plane. But it worked for me because I got like sneak around and do a lot of stuff when my parents were dealing with like the airport people and all that. But once we left, it was like crazy because all these motor cars, they were just like everywhere, like little ants and like a giant like you sometimes get those ants inside the cracks of your steps. It was like that, but instead with motor cars. And like, the air was so bad, I couldn't even breathe. But anyways, I actually don't really remember much from this, because I was sick. I got randomly sick out of nowhere, and most of the time I was tied to my hotel bed, but it was a pretty nice hotel. It was really bougie. There was a lot of like extravagant, like $300 pieces of like Chinese furniture with like dragons on them and everything. And during this time, wait, hold on, I'm sorry. Oh yeah, and during this time, I was barfing a lot. I watched this like one show where it was like these like little ladybugs fighting around and stuff. And that was all that was when I was in Sion, which is a pretty nice place, but I didn't really get to do much, yet looking back, I still really do have fond memories of that place. But moving on, I then took another airplane trip to this other place in Vietnam. I think it was in like the more like middle part of Vietnam, and there's this one, like we went to this like gigantic piece of dirt out of the middle of nowhere. And over there's like a couple houses and a couple villages, and that was where my mom's side of the family was. And for some reason, they decided to give me a dog the first time I got there, and I couldn't even do anything with it. I couldn't take it home because like we had to deal with like the, airplanes and stuff, and I couldn't like really like spend time with it either because it was scared of me. So it was pretty depressing. But after that, I'm pretty sure we went to this one other place. And yeah, I still don't really remember much. But I do remember this one person. I think she was my grand-aunt, and she was like the most sweetest old lady. And she taught me a lot of weird things, like how to gamble with dice and like dominoes. And that really made my childhood because like she was like really, really fun to hang out with. And even though like most of my trip was full of like, being sick, not being able to hang out with this dog I got that I really wanted to keep, and for some reason named Tien Fat by my sister, and all of that culminated into like still happy memories of that time from my childhood, and those days were just like filled and colored in with that kind of warmness and happiness that even though I don't really remember much, I'm still really pleasantly like grateful for those times. And a couple of years later, I learned that old lady, who was my grand-aunt, passed away, and that just, all those like moments with her, memories just kind of hit back, because before that, I didn't really remember much about my time there. And yet, after she passed, it kind of really just hit me, like how much I valued and treasured that. So I guess that's my treasure. And wherever she is, in heaven or in hell, I thank God for letting her, listen to my story. Thank you.
Give it up one more time for Tien, everybody! All right, everybody, it's time for our next storyteller. Picking from the fishbowl. Everybody, welcome to the stage, Naisia Wynn! Keep it going for Naisia Wynn!
Okay, so I don't really know how to start off my story, but basically, it was like a day at school, at McDaniel. We're just casual at school, but who wants to be here anyway? No hate to any teacher or any student. I just don't like being here. But it was like the end of school day or whatever, and my dad said he was gonna pick me up, so I was ready to go home. I'm like, yeah, I get to leave hell. Sorry. Sorry. I was like, yeah, I get to leave. So my dad picks me up, and then we go pick up my brother. And my brother's like, oh, I want to go to McDonald's. I want to get some chicken nuggets. I'm like, what's up with McDonald's? Like, McDonald's ain't that good. But get your free little 6-piece or whatever. So we're at McDonald's. He gets his chicken nuggets. I get what I want. We're chilling in the parking lot, eating our food. And I was like, this is a great time to post on my story, get my crush a little jealous, in the parking lot. It's kind of dark or whatever. I'm like, yeah. Then after that, we're just chilling, and my dad asked me if I wanted to go see my grandma, and I'm like, yes, of course. Because me, I love to see my grandma. I don't know if you guys like to see your grandma, but grandma ride or die. So we're on our way to go see our grandma, and we go to the hospital. And we get there, we get my grandma. We're just sitting there all chilling. I'm talking to my grandma, and she starts talking about relationships and stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, this is my topic. Like, I want to know what you did when you were younger. And my dad's like, you guys don't need to talk about that. I'm like, mind your business. Like, mind your business. Like, this is me and my grandma. Like, you want to be a girl so bad. But, like, you want to be a girl. So she told me what happened when she was younger and all this other stuff. And my brother, he kept playing with the door and everything. He didn't want to be there because he was tired. And I didn't have a good day at school, so I wanted to leave too. But I wanted to stay because this is my grandma, so I don't get to see her all the time. So I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna stay. We're just there, and then she starts talking about the Bible because she loves the Bible. Me personally, I don't read it, but you guys, I grew up going to church, okay? Like, yeah, like all Christian up or whatever. So she gives me she tells me to rip the piece of paper, and she writes this thing on it, and she gives it to me, and then we end up leaving. And unfortunately, a few weeks later, we get a call. My mom gets a call, and I was getting ready for school, and she bangs on the fucking door, while I'm getting ready to go somewhere I don't want to go. And she sits me down, and we have a talk. And sadly, my grandma she passed away, and it was really hard for me. So I didn't know how to cope with it and stuff. So I started going out to small little parties. I started failing all my classes. I was just really, really confused. I didn't know what to do. I was stuck. But then, after that, it was really hard for me. It really was. I had a few friends that I could talk to, but I didn't really want to talk to anyone because it's why do I want to tell you my business? But after that, I remember the little paper she gave me. It's the only thing I have right now. So that makes me want to read the Bible and other stuff, and it makes me treasure all the moments that I have with her. Because I look at my grandma as if she's a star, and you guys, if you anybody passed away, they can be a star to you, and the star eventually fades out. But if you do good, because I want to do good for my grandma, my light can focus on her light, and it will be better altogether. So, yeah.
Keep it going for Nicey, everybody! All right, everybody, it is time for our next storyteller. The next person to the stage, please welcome Jillian Hellman.
Okay, so it all started in January 2022 when the Omicron variant was targeting teachers and students to the point where school had to shut down for a week. We were miserable. I was upset because I wouldn't get to see my friends, and I had to do online school for a week, which was no fun. So my mom and I are like, we need a distraction to help us feel better. And we noticed that our resident cat, Sky, was sulking around our house, looking as though her spirit had been stolen. So we're like, she needs a friend. So we go online to the Humane Society website to look at cats. We do that for the next few days. Cats keep coming and going. But there was this one cat. His name is Chauncey, 7-month-old black and white tuxedo cat. No one wanted him. And I didn't understand why, because his biography said that he was friendly and got along with other cats, which is just what we needed. So the next day, my mom and I drove to the Humane Society, and we were greeted by this middle-aged lady who wore a cloth mask, and you could feel the heat of her breath when she talked to you. It was really gross. And so she showed us to the room where the cats were, opened the door. It's as if we had been shoved into a full litter box. We were greeted by the most atrocious, sickening smell in the history of the world. And it was cold in there, and the cats were all lined up in cages behind bars like prisoners, and it was really sad. So we were shown to where the cat was, and there were 4 things I noticed about it. 1, he smelled like onion rings from a fast food restaurant that had been left outside. 2, he had a car motor that could shake the room. 3, his eyes were like pools of yellowish green metal, but they looked so dead and hopeless. And the 4th thing, he had this marking below his nose that looked like a half mustache. It was as if an artist had started painting it, but forgotten about it, never finished it. Whatever. So I was just hanging out with them, and my mom and the Humane Society worker were talking, and the worker said that the cat had a heart of gold, and that really convinced us, because shortly after, we're like, we'll take him. So we do. He mailed the entire car ride home, and we let him out, and he just hid in a corner by the toilet. And so fast forward to the next day, my parents decide to go to the library, which means I'm in charge of the cats. And of course, me being the very smart decision maker that I am, decide to leave him alone. Chauncey's been a really good kitty, very well behaved, never did anything wrong. So I'm just chilling in my room, scrolling through YouTube, when I hear this agitating, bothersome scratching noise, followed by this high-pitched yowling noise. So I go to check on him, open the door. I am once again greeted by the putrid smell of a full litter box, and there's toilet paper bits everywhere, cardboard bits everywhere, kibble bits everywhere. But I just took one look at his adorable little face. I'm like, I can't be mad at him. He never did anything wrong. So I just sit down and he climbs in my lap, which is pleasant, but didn't last very long, because then he started biting me and scratching me. So I was like, okay, maybe he needs to get his energy out. So I just start waving around the feather toy. And fast forward 30 minutes later. He still has just as much energy as he did when we started. And that was when I came up with the brilliant idea for a name. Peter, because it takes forever for his energy to peter out. And so this behavior continued over the course of a few months. We were sick of it, but we just accepted that this is a part of who he was, and we loved him regardless. And Peter was just the light in the middle of the tunnel that we needed, and he showed us that you can love and accept someone despite their flaws.
Here we go for Jillian, everybody! All right, it's time for our next storyteller. Please welcome to the stage, Max Peters!
So this takes a little bit of backstory, because my treasure isn't in a pirate ship. I didn't have to go on a quest for it, and I certainly did not have to fight a dragon. Instead, it was given to me before I was born by my late uncle. B does not have good looks. He's a teddy bear that was like a 2006 edition Build-A-Bear, and his face is permanently deformed, it's skewed to the left, his hair is matted, and his neck is full with holes, so much that it would give anyone trypophobia. But I knew he was supposed to be special. I saw as my family held him so close, like if they ever let go, he would fly away. I knew he was supposed to be special too. I had this weird nostalgia feeling whenever I held B. It was kind of like if you took guilt and you took love and you mished it together in this weird, like, smoothie type thing. But once I almost lost B. I was 5 and my sister Aria was maybe like 4 or maybe 3. I don't know. I never really know her age. We're kind of treated more like twins than brother and sister. But we were in a fight like we usually were. Maybe I cut the hair off her Barbies, or maybe she ate the last cupcake, but I was mad. And in my old house, we had this big Scion futon, and behind it was this huge window. And we were fighting there, and in my rage, I pushed her onto the futon. She was fine. I was like really young, so I was super weak. But she fell right onto me. And I was really dumb when I was younger, and I thought that this teddy bear was gonna die under my like 4-year-old sister's weight. So I'm begging her to get up, and she's not. And she's laughing the whole time like the little monster she is. And the light from the window is making this like spotlight effect that like shouldn't be happening, and it made it so much more dramatic. And so I'm trying to pull Bees out by his arm, and she's still sitting there laughing at me, and the window's like super bright. And I'm begging and pulling and pulling and pulling, and I'm pulling his arm, and then it rips off. And I thought that he was gonna die from my like really young sister's weight. So imagine how I feel seeing Bee's arm limp in my hand and stuffing's like pouring out of it like blood. I am inconsolable for 15 minutes till my grandma comes running in with her sewing kit and her fabric. But the fabric she had doesn't match Bee's fur, because Bee's a light brown, and the fur she had was dark brown, so he had this weird discolored armpit for a really long time, and we called it his hairy armpit. But every time I saw it, I felt really sad. When I was younger, like rethinking about that, I thought the feeling I felt in those 15 minutes was grief. I thought I could understand the way that my family felt about my uncle, but I can't. The last present my uncle ever gave before he died was Bee, and it was the first present I ever got. And that's more important to me than a memory with him ever could be, because I can't hug a memory.
Keep it going for Max Peters, everybody! All right, let's keep this moving. Welcome our next storyteller to the stage. Everyone give it up for Mia Caldwell.
The year was 2017, and it was mid-August. It was the type of day where the sun is beating down on you and sweat is dripping from your neck, so I hadn't gone outside much. But once it had cooled down, me and my mom decided to go sit on the porch. So I'm sitting on the grass, and I'm looking up at the camellia trees with their budding pink flowers, and I'm wondering, why are they called camellia trees? Now, my favorite thing to do when I was 11 was ask questions about everything I had to know. So I'm looking around and I'm wondering, why is grass called grass, and why are petunias called petunias? So it gets me wondering about my own name. So I decided to ask my mom, why did you name me Mia? She looks at me and she says, you know Nick, right? Nick, or Aunt Nick as we called her, was a close childhood friend of my mom's and someone who visited often. Although she wasn't really our aunt, she always felt like family. Yeah, I know Nick, I told her. Well, she said, let me tell you a story. When I was pregnant with you, Nick was supposed to throw my baby shower, but she had to go home that week because her mother fell ill. And unfortunately, a few days later, her mother passed away from cancer. This death hit me really hard because not only was Nicole's mom a huge part of my childhood, but a huge part of my life. And it was so hard for me, so I decided I wanted to honor her. I decided to follow a tradition from the Jewish religion and take the first letter of her name and gift it to my newborn child. Nicole's mom's name was Maheen, so I decided to name you Mia. Looking back, this was a huge moment of realization for me because I had always thought my name was simple and boring, and this gave a new kind of meaning to it. It made it special, and it created this connection with a woman who I hadn't known, but was a huge part of my mother's life, and that connection was powerful. I told my mom, I'm glad you named me Mia. She looked at me, and all of a sudden it looked like a light bulb had gone off over her head. I looked at her again, confused, and she started laughing at a joke that I didn't understand. So I asked her, "What is it? What's so funny?" And instead of answering my question, she said, "Go upstairs to the medicine cabinet and grab the ring with the blue stone center." So I had no idea what she was talking about, but I decided to do what she said. So I open the door, and I'm running up the stairs to the medicine cabinet, and I pull the door open, and I'm shuffling through floss and toothpaste and homemade remedies and all kinds of things until I find a small mesh bag, and I empty the contents onto my hand. And there it is, the ring. So I close the container, and I run back down the stairs and sit back on the grass, and I'm out of breath. I'm just, oh my gosh, what's happening? So I hand her the ring, and she takes one look at it and hands it back to me. And she says, "Try it on." And I do, and it's a perfect fit. So now I'm dazed, and I don't know what to do with this information, so I look back at her, and I ask her one more time, what's going on? Whose ring is this? And she says, "Let me tell you one more story. You reminded me of this when you asked me about your name earlier. When Nick was in Ireland, you were pregnant, you were born. I was pregnant with you and you were born. And she wanted to get you something special and something personalized that you would have for a long time. And she got you this ring. The ring is yours." So I look down at the ring, and it's simple yet elegant, and it's a beautiful piece of jewelry that not only is mine, but symbolizes so much: family, friendship, unity, my identity. And I promised that I would wear it every day, and I have, every day for the last 5 years. Thank you.
All right, everybody. Our next storyteller, put your hands together for Emily Fletcher.
Okay, I was sitting there thinking of like 5 different hooks to start with, and I was literally just texting my partner going, "Hey, I might need to stay late because I haven't gone yet." Well, here I am. Okay. So, when I performed for my class, I didn't know what I was gonna write my story about. And Ms. Onis goes, "Oh yeah, our slam is today," and I'm like, "Oh." So I'm thinking about what I had done the previous weekend, and I remember I got to do something for the first time that I hadn't done in a while, which was go to the bins with my mom. Raise your hand, we all know what the bins is, right? We all go to the bins. We love the bins, it's such a Portland thing. So, me and my mom, we've had our ups and downs. We don't get along very well. It's really hard for us to find connection, and things like thrifting and the bins are like those ways that we can connect with each other. So I was really trying to connect with my mom because we had had a fight recently. And so it was like 9 in the morning, and she was like, "Okay, Emily, I know you want to look good for the bins, but we need to get going if you want to find good stuff." So, I was doing my eyeliner in the mirror. I was like, "Okay, I'm coming." And so I get my boots on, I'm running around, and then I come out, and she says, "Okay, come on." I'm like, "Okay, geez." She's like, "Wait, grab your rain jacket, it's raining." I was like, "Geez, okay." So I put on my rain jacket, we head downstairs, and we get in the car, and I'm like, "Mom?" She's like, "Yes." I'm like, "Can we listen to the same CD we always listen to when we go on adventures?" She was like, "Yes, Emily." So she gets out the black CD book that I've grown to love ever since I was little, as long as I can remember. She pulls out, boom, the Disney Classic CD, and she puts it into the player, and that one song from Mulan that I'm forgetting the name of, where it's like, the general's like, "You need to be a man if you want to be in the army." And that song's playing as we hit the freeway. And it's raining, and I'm singing this song with my mom, and we're in the car. She has her resting bitch face. She's just like, "Oh, make a man." So then she pulls up to McDonald's, and I'm like, "Mom, this is not the bins." She says, "What do you want?" And I'm like, "Can I just have a sweet tea?" We get our sweet teas. We always get sweet teas. I'm sitting there, and I'm awkwardly sipping my sweet tea. We finally get to the bins. I realize I've talked a lot about the backstory, but we're finally at the bins. And I'm digging, I'm sweating, I'm wiping sweat, I'm digging. I didn't find anything. I never find nothing at the bins. Everyone finds something there. So we were walking out, we were on our way out, we didn't find anything. And then my mom grabs my shoulder. She looks at me, she goes, Emily, look. And I look down. About up to my waist is this black and red desk. It's black with red detailing. It has like this copperish black hardware. And I'm like, yeah, I want that. We get a ticket from the Goodwill people. It was $5. I've never bought furniture from the bins. It was $5. And we get it. We lug it into the car somehow. We're like twisting it, turning it, we're twisting it. We finally get it in. And I sit down in the car with my mom. And I'm like, man, good spot, Mom. You know, like, good on you. I finished drinking my drink. I never finished my drink in time. And we were still listening to the CD. We finally get home. My dad's like, oh, what'd you find? I'm like, oh, I found a desk. He was like, okay, cool. And he put his headphones back on. And then I looked at my mom, and she was smiling. I hadn't seen my mom smile in weeks. Because, you know, we were behind on bills, and my dad was whatever. Who's my dad? But I looked, and she was smiling. She was laughing. I love my mom's laugh because it's just like mine. You know my laugh, it's this awkward snort, and I just kind of scream, and I throw my arms around. And my mom does the same thing because I'm just like her. We both love junk, we both have awkward laughs, we both have a really scary bitch face. But we both just, you know, we love each other even though we argue, and I'm just looking at her, she's smiling. And I think to myself, oh man, that desk is nothing compared to my mom. My mom is this cool lady, you know, she's done theater, she makes art just like me. She's just like that person. Even though we have our ups and downs, that's okay. I realized my mom was my treasure. Because, you know, the bond you have with your mom is like so special. And even if you have, even though we all have hard times with our parents, you know, my parents aren't that great. I just realized my mom was my treasure.
Give it up for Emily, everybody! All right, everybody. Please welcome to the stage our next storyteller, Rory Henderson!
I was planning to end my life at the ripe age of 11. The littlest things ticked me off, from someone commenting on my outfit or my breakfast not being right that morning. Nothing large had happened in my life at all. Just something happened in my mind. I don't know what it is, but it happened. I decided that in every moment I had seen someone end their life by choice, everyone questioned it. They were like, was it my fault? Did I do that? Was I the reason? I wasn't letting that happen on my behalf. So I wrote the ending letters. Each letter I rewrote 5 to 7 times. I had to make sure everything was right. So the boyfriend, the girlfriend, the best friend, everyone knew that it wasn't their fault. I had to make sure by the dot, by the punctuation. So I finished writing each letter, everything was okay. I put it away in this old Vans shoebox and stuffed it in the closet. And I finished the letters, the box is away, and I questioned, do I do it now? Is now the time that I end the life that I've lived for so long? I didn't. I got up, left my room, and went and did what I always did when I was confused. I ate food. I went to the kitchen, grabbed a snack, probably popcorn, definitely not fruit. I ate some food, I sat on the kitchen floor, and I contemplated, why? And then as I was eating, the thought went away as if it was a tough math problem, so never in my mind. 2 months, maybe 3, went by, and I was looking for a shoe in the back of my closet. I'm searching, looking for it, and I'm looking around, and I look over in the corner, the box that holds my truths, my lies, my deepest, darkest secret. It's gone. The box is gone. My mother has this thing where she goes around and she does spring cleaning every season of the year. So I wasn't entirely afraid because there was been no conversation, no let's go sit down in the kitchen and talk about this. So I just stared at the empty void, questioning, was that a sign? Is the universe telling me that it's not my time to leave the world, or I just didn't know. So I sat there contemplating everything for about a solid 2, maybe only 1 hour, just thinking, what the hell happened? And realizing after all of this that my true treasure is the memories that I've lived now, not the memories that I could have lost.
Keep it going for Rory, everybody! Now welcome to the stage our next storyteller, Christian Ortiz!
Okay, so today I was nervous. And I'm not talking about today, I'm talking about April last year today. So I was driving in the car, and there were many reasons to be nervous. Number one, I'm going to this weird singing competition thing for choir or whatever, but that wasn't on my mind right now. What was on my mind was, this is the first time that my grandma, my uncle, and my girlfriend are in the same car, and it's the first time they're meeting. So not only did I decide that this nerve-wracking day already should be even more unnerving because my grandma is meeting my girlfriend for the first time, but I also decided to do it at the same day I was going to this huge competition. I love how my brain works sometimes. But anyways, we roll up to the place. It's supposed to be at a high school somewhere in Beaverton. We come out, we get to the entrance, and that is when I realized that this school is huge. We have a giant circular school that's just about as tall as any skyscraper you see in Manhattan. And then we have a giant circular courtyard in the front. I was like, did I arrive at a high school or did I arrive at the Keep of Jotunheim? What is this? So we head in, and there is a massive amount of people. I knew that there would be a massive amount of people, but you don't know what 1,000 people look like until they're in front of you. So I walk in, and I'm kind of trying to just keep together with my family. My uncle is over here running around because he hears a whole bunch of music blaring everywhere. And then my grandma is over here just like, come on, you gotta stick with me, honey, we're going this way. Because they're the one that have all the information and stuff. And then my girlfriend is over there just like, I don't know what to do, I don't know what to do, I don't know what to do. So we head in, and I'm still trying to meet with my accompanist and all this stuff. So I get in there, I meet with my accompanist, and I have like 30 minutes before I actually go and do the performance. So I'm sitting there, I'm talking with my accompanist, I go off, I break off from everybody to get some water, and when I come back, my grandma has like baby pictures of me, showing them to my girlfriend when I explicitly told them before that not to. So, yeah, that was just another embarrassing thing that I had to deal with on that same day. But as I go in, I check out the little place where I will be doing my performance, and I peek in the door, open it, I look in, and there's about 20 chairs of different people that are apparently relatives of other performers. I didn't know that at the time, so that was just more terrifying, because I thought every single one of them was another judge or guest artist. So I get in, and then I go further into the room when they call my name and it is my time to perform. And I realized that those people in the 20 chairs are not the judge. They have 3 different desks that they're not even desks, they were full tables that span from one side of the room to the other. I don't even know how they got back there. They had to climb over it or under it or something. But the scarier part was, they don't call them judges. They call them adjudicators. Why do you need to make it even more nerve-wracking and even more just scary when you already know that they're going to be judging you, that they are called adjudicators when you come in? I don't know why, but I felt like the church was like coming to get me or something like that. Like I was expecting like the persecution of like whatever to happen right then and there. All the musicians in that college, high school, Jotunheim were just going to start like flooding down, and like the rain of arrows would come towards us, and we'd all like say our prayers for our last time. But none of that happened, so that's good. And I went up, I cued my accompanist, and I performed my little song, did my little dance, and nothing happened. They said, thank you, goodbye. And that was kind of when everything felt fine. Like, I felt like I didn't do the best I could have, but that was fine. I felt like this inviting my girlfriend was a disaster, but that also was just fine. So, in the end, we went and we get some breakfast, just at a little family-owned business, and got some chicken and waffles, and everything was okay.
Fletcher!
Hi everyone, my name is Princess. I prefer to go by Big P, as everyone knows me, but yeah. Today, I'm talking about my brother. His name is Fletcher. I want to say, I know him as a small, fiery, pretty talented, stubborn, always kind of like around the little energy in the house. He is kind of like, would say, the last, I hope the last of the Fletcher family. But I say fiery and stubborn because my brother had a really rough coming into this world. My brother was a premature preemie, and there were just a lot of complications with the birth, the pregnancy, everything, and yeah, it was complicated. But a little backstory, my brother isn't actually my blood brother, he's my cousin, but my family adopted him, so I can say he's my brother, and I always kind of like felt like it. But one thing I could say is, there's like a moment I remember. He had to be in the NICU for 2 weeks, and he got discharged 3 weeks after being in the hospital. I'm 7 at the time, kind of come to that point where it's like, I've seen quite a lot, I understand the right and wrongs, what I should do, all that, kind of like still learning, and at this point, my mom and dad, they're out of town with my little sister. At the point, I had a baby sister. She was just 11 months. So they were out of town. And I was inside, actually, with my aunt and uncle, because this is a week after my brother's been home. Like, he's just warming up. Everyone's getting to enjoy his, company, sorry. And so my sister actually is in the yard, playing with the dogs, and my aunt and uncle, they come in trying to offload stuff from the car. I think they went grocery shopping or something like that. And my grandma goes outside, I'm in the living room with my brother, and she's like, oh, watch him. But I'm 7. I'm watching TV, not the kid. She goes out, she's helping. It's not even a minute she leaves, and I turn around, and my brother's shaking. He's having an epileptic seizure. And in that moment, I was scared, really scared. There was just like a little, you know that feeling you get when you mess up really bad? And your heart drops to your ass, like, you're like, that was what I felt like. I was just like, wow, this is scary. It's like, it's a moment you could say like, that was when I grew up, like really realized that there's a lot of things that could go wrong. You never know how long you have with people. But yeah, my brother didn't die. He didn't die. Cause see, this is what happened. I call for my grandma, and she comes running in, you know, full mom mode, cause there's a saying where it takes a village to bring up a child. Sorry, but yeah, that saying. My grandma, why is this missing? Okay, my grandma, she runs in, you know, still in that mode, and she yells at me, and she's like, "Step back," you know. I'm just like, wow. What? And I'm just in the back, you know, still scared, you know, still in that moment, but I'm like, that's kind of rude. You could have just told me to step back. My aunt and uncle come in behind her, and everyone's just kind of like crying, praying, and I'm just in the trance like, Grandma, you can't stop. He's not going nowhere. He's got to come back. And I'm just shocked. You know, there's a dread of the house. I'm in this trance of like, please, God, bring him back. And I realized in that moment, you know, everything going on. Finally, our prayers worked, you know. He goes unresponsive for a little while, and I'm just in the back. I don't really know how to pray, but I'm hearing what they're saying. And I'm just like, God, please. And yeah, he comes back to life, you know. My brother's okay, but he's still pretty small, very small, likes to run around the house. 9 years, and I'm pretty proud, and I really treasure that moment because it was kind of like an awakening for me, because that was the first time I knew I could love someone so much. And it was just like a little connection in my heart that I knew that no matter what happened, if it was an issue, yes, I would take that fall for him. That's why I treasure him so much. Thank you.
All right, everybody. Just want to say thank you to Miss Alonso, Mr. Heaney, and Miss Akron, and Mr. Stoll for helping out with this event, in addition to the judges, so a round of applause for them. All right, we have one more storyteller. You know who you are. Welcome to the stage, Elijah Trent, everybody.
Hey guys. Okay, so last August, my family and I got invited to this anniversary party for this production company. And we know the owners, Chris and Liam, they're great guys. I've known them my whole life. They're like family to me. And we get there and it's so cool. There's crazy lights going, there's good food, there's cool people, get talking with some people. But there were 5 games there, 5 little mini games. And two of them were like, you had to throw a ping pong ball into like this cup, and then another one was like a mini golf. And the other one was, there was like a throwing card one, we had to do it in like a moving slots. And the last one was like you had to throw a ring into like this hook. And they seemed fun, and I'm a very competitive person, like ask anyone who knows me, I will win no matter what. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna win. And the owners were like, okay, whoever wins all 5 gets a special prize. So I was like, okay, I'm doing it. And so I start with the 2 ping pong ball ones because they seem easy, but they were actually pretty tricky. Like one of them you had to throw it up at like a backboard and go back into the cup, and the other one was like the cup was moving around, and like they were tricky. This was like 30 minutes for both of them, and I was like, okay, this is really hard. And then like the mini golf one was pretty simple, but then after that my parents were like, okay Elijah, we gotta go, and I'm like, nope, I'm staying here, I'm staying. So I was like, okay, let me stay, and I started doing the throwing card one, and it was the hardest thing in my life. It was impossible. I was like, how am I doing this? I was throwing them, getting them, throwing them. And I was like, okay, I give up. So I went around the party, talked to people, and got some food. And like when I'm talking to someone, I look at the corner of my eye, and there's this big 6'3" dude. He's just doing all the games. I'm like, okay. And then like move on. He's at the card game, and I'm like, okay, I'm going back. So I look at him. I'm like, oh, okay. And so I'm like, okay, let's do this. We're just both throwing cards at the little slot. We're not doing it for like 30 minutes. We're going. And I look over like 30 minutes and he's sweating a lot. And I'm like, it's okay. And he's going, we're going, and it's like, it was impossible. I don't even know how we were doing it. And then it kept going, it was like another 30 minutes. I was like, I'm about to give up. But, first one to get in the slot was me. And I was like, okay, let's go. I was screaming, I was freaking out, going around, and I was like, I felt bad for him, but I was like, no, not really. But then after I won, the owners of the company brought the two people who were working hardest at the game, so I was like, okay, bring it in. They brought me and him in, and they were like, whoever wins all 5 games gets $1,000. I'm like, oh my God, you have to say that now? So like, I'm here, about to do the last game, sweating, I look over, he's like drenched, he looks like someone poured a bucket of water on him, he's 6 feet big, I was like, this is scary. And he's going at it, and like, I'm at the final game, I'm like, I gotta do this. This is $1,000. Like, I've never, you don't get that. So I'm going, I'm doing the little ring around the hook. I get it on a few times, but it only wraps around, has to get on it. And I'm like freaking out. I'm like, dude, I'm gonna lose. And I look over and he won the card game, and I'm like, this is it. I give up. But then I just kept going, and he moved on, and he was like, we were taking turns doing it. And out of nowhere, I got it on the hook again, and I thought it was wrapped around, but I ran up. It was on the hook. I had 3 other people check, and I was screaming. I ran around the whole entire place. I slipped on some water. People were cheering. I was like, dude, this is like, I just won an Oscar. And it was like the best day ever. I was like, okay, and I felt bad for the guy. Like, he works really hard, but like, that's life, So I got the money. They Venmoed me, and I was like, dude, best day ever. I went home. I bragged to my brother. Showed my parents, they were like, oh my gosh, you? But it was a good night, won $1,000. I can say it's not here because I'm bad with money, but it was worth it.
One more round of applause for Elijah, everybody! All right, everybody. The judges have spoken. Before we announce the winners, how about one more round of applause for all of our storytellers today? A reminder that on Thursday, if you are in the top 3, to make sure to come to the event on Thursday. And anything else to announce?
And if you don't get in the top 3, you can still come and compete. It will be first come, first served. There will be QR codes up, or you can get, you can just hightail it in. And so even if you don't get in the top 3, that doesn't mean it's over for you.
All right. Top 5. In 5th place, Rory Henderson. In 4th place, Naisia Wynn. In 3rd place, Princess Fletcher. In 2nd place, Sebastian Foltz. And in 1st place, Max Peters. One more round of applause for all of our winners and all of our contestants today. Great work, everybody.